Hello, my name is Dale Dierdorf and welcome to MSE 608B's Week 7 course lecture. This week's course lecture is on people celebrations, and the text that we're going to highlight and talk about in addition to the material I'm presenting is going to be a book called Corporate Celebrations. I think you're going to find that it's a nice, short, easy read. It's got some really powerful information in a couple specific areas, and those are on how do we define what we should be celebrating from a people perspective, and in our organizations, who should be involved? Those kind of areas are not usually explored in a lot of the material that you're going to find available to you. But let's go ahead and jump into our presentation on people celebrations. As a leader and a manager in a high-tech organization or working with a high-tech firm, you're going to find that there are situations where you are going to need to do people celebrations. And you're going to find that there are very few rules, with the exception of how much you can spend, how much time you can, set aside to do it, the type of people you can invite. So the kind of information that you're going to be given isn't going to give you the ability to really understand what it is you should be doing, what we should say, what kind of people should we invite, just a lot of the characteristics associated with people celebrations or people resources. So let's say you're on a project or a program and you've come across a major milestone, a goal, a critical activity that you've completed on time, and it's time for what we refer to as a recognition, observance, or event. Where do you start? So let's start by really understanding what we're trying to do with people celebrations. Recognition, from a definition standpoint, is the timely, informal, or formal acknowledgement of a person or a team's behavior, effort, or business result that supports the organization's goals and values, and which has clearly been beyond the normal expectations. So people have gone above and beyond. Teams have outperformed where we thought they would go. Those are the type of things that we call people celebrations. And a lot of times what happens is you're going to have people come back and say, well, what's our bang for our buck? What do we get for doing a people celebration? It's really hard to quantify what it is, because so much of it is subjective. It's not objective data that we get. But let's give you some stats. Let's just show you some of the things that are published out there as far as recent statistics for why we should be doing people celebrations. So the first one, when companies spend 1% or more of payroll on recognition, 85% of those companies see a positive impact on engagement. Now that is great bang for your buck. The other side of it is, let's go to the bottom, number 4. When asked what leaders could do more to improve engagement, over 50%, 58% of leaders that responded replied, give recognition. So those seasoned leaders that are out there, the seasoned managers, understand that you may not be able to point to it and say, I know that if I do this, it's going to have an impact somewhere else in the organization. But from previous experience, they know that there's an impact, a positive impact on doing people celebrations. I love some of these stats. Our research finds that those organizations with the most mature employees our recognition approach are 12 times more likely to have a strong business result. Now that's very ambiguous, but I put it in there for a reason, because there are many stats that you're going to get that are very tangible. The number one reason most Americans leave their job. Imagine this, 65% of the people surveyed said they don't feel appreciated and that they didn't get any recognition for good work they did last year. Only 14% of organizations provide managers with the necessary tools for rewards and recognition. 41% of companies that use peer-to-peer recognition have seen marked positive increases in customer satisfaction, and organizations with recognition programs, which are highly effective at enabling employees' engagement, had a 31% lower voluntary turnover than organizations with ineffective recognition programs. So we can see that people celebrations make a difference. The stats are there. Let's figure out how we do this. So, why would we want to conduct celebrations? I can tell you from my personal experience, the reasons that I see that we would want to do it and the things that I have seen changed are that we recognize successes. In our organizations, people really love the opportunity to see that we recognize success, because there's so many times that we beat people up for failures. So we highlight positive performance, we increase communication, we increase collaboration, camaraderie of employees. All of that improves, it increases when we do people celebrations. We make people feel good about themselves and work, what they do. It puts a positive spin on things, and we motivate people to work harder. These are the things that I can tell you that I have seen over and over. Let's go ahead and look at the opportunity to do, let's say, a people celebration. And you say, well, where do we start? So I'm going to tell you to go back to that tried and true's 5 W's template, and let's use that to start pulling at the pieces of why we would want to have a celebration, who we would want to have involved, what should it encompass, when should we do it, all of those type of things. And before we can get started, we need to understand information about what happened, who was involved, when, where, why. So let's use this tool. Let's start with the who. Who was responsible for completion of a goal, major milestone, or critical activity? So that who could be a specific person, it could be a team, it could be a group of people that aren't in a team. So it could move across different functions. But if we're going to do a people celebration, we need to know who was linked to that major goal, that milestone, that critical activity getting completed. And that may take a little bit of research. The next piece of it is what was done, what happened, what is it that was different? Is it something that somebody thought of that was a revolutionary new way of doing something? Was it that we just had a lot of people get together and work harder at a specific time on completing something like a proposal, or finishing a project on time, or getting a delivery shipped, or going out of their way to go above and beyond? Nordies from Nordstrom were known for going out of their way to do things for people that were very different than what a traditional store would do. And that's what made them so particularly special. Identify what it was that was done. Understand that. The next piece of it is going to be the when piece. When did this happen? Was there something that was in front of them that they had to go around, from a when perspective? Was it on a weekend? When? Was it in a particular month? When? Really understand the when this happened, because a lot of people will work additional hours. It could have been done with groups of people when they were supposed to be doing, that when they were on break, or when they came in early, they stayed late. Understand the when this happened, because a lot of times people go above and beyond, not during the traditional time. They did it on a weekend. They went out of their way to make the company look good on a weekend by doing a volunteer activity or something like that. So when we talk about recognition, when we talk about a people celebration, understand that when component. Where was the organizational goal or milestone completed? So really get clarity. It could have been a different division. It could have been somebody that did it in a different state. It could be somebody that did it at a different in a different group. Somebody from another group could have supported you. Where was that? Did configuration management work over the weekend to get documentation released for you? Did managers come in on a weekend and work with technicians? Where was this accomplished? Really understand that. And then the last piece of it that I think is really, really essential is, why was what was done important to the organizational goals? Why is it that what they accomplished really made a difference? As a team, as an individual, as a as a corporate entity, as a division, you really need to have that level of clarity. So we want to make sure we've got all that information available to us. Now, you may ask, why is celebration important? And I can tell you that I have heard these 5 reasons as the top reasons that we don't celebrate, that we don't have celebrations. We don't have the time. It takes away from people doing work. It costs me money. It costs me budget. I just, I can't squeeze that into my budget. I don't have the availability of people that can support this. The other one is, this is a business, not a playground. That's a great one. We're serious here. We need to be serious. We're professionals. We don't celebrate. We don't have people celebrations. But people have birthdays every year. People have anniversaries for when they started work. People accomplish milestones. There are things that happen in the company that are important. The other piece of it is, we don't see results from it. So people are always looking for, what are the tangible results? If I have a people celebration, are my people going to be 5% more effective at work? Well, you're never going to get those kind of statistics. The other thing is, from a cultural perspective, people say it's not for us. We just don't do that here. We're not that kind of company. I think that you need to look at these 5 factors here, these 5 top reasons that we don't celebrate, and in your personal leadership or management style, you need to find a way to figure out how to make this happen, because people celebrations are things that we must do. We must. Leaders and managers in organizations are forced on a day-to-day basis to micromanage their people. They have to understand also when it's time for us to have a celebration. So there's different types of celebrations. There's seasonal things, something that happened that connects us to something that happened in the past, something that's happening now, or something that's going to happen in the future. All of those seasonal type of events can be things that we can have a people celebration about. Something like a Christmas party is and would be referred to as a seasonal event for your organization. Recognition, appreciation for accomplishments. When somebody does something above and beyond, or they complete something that was critical for us to continue moving forward in a positive direction, that is a perfect time to have a recognition people type of celebration. Anniversaries. You have personal milestones that happen every year. Everyone has an anniversary date. They celebrate 1 year being at a company, 6 months, 5 years, things like that. They could have been on a team for 2 years. They could have been in a division for 5 years. There are opportunities for people that you can celebrate personal milestones. Now, I've worked for a company that gave out awards and recognized people for coming in every day for a complete year. They gave out an award for somebody that had been to work and hadn't missed a day of work in 2 years. Now, that meant that person came to work sick. That means that person came to work, no matter what it was, he came to work. We want to look at the type of celebrations we have, and they should be impactful, and they should set the tone for other people. Now, I don't think we want to set the tone that everybody comes in every day. That isn't what we're trying to do. Look at what you're trying to accomplish. So triumphs, high point successes, those are things that we should always have a celebration. Everybody should be involved, as many people as possible. Succession, when somebody moves into a new position, when somebody retires, when somebody is brought in and is part of a group, teams, things like that. Those succession, those transition events are great opportunities for people celebrations. And then the next one is, I'll call it the altruistic type of events. Thank you to our stakeholders, our clients, our customers, opportunities to interact with them. All of that is going to give you great bang for your buck on repeat customers coming back to you and your current customers wanting to stay engaged with you. Involve them if they were part of it also, if they help deliver hardware or if you're delivering hardware to them that is meaningful and part of that celebration, ask them to be part of it. Now, there's realistically 4 different types of celebrations that I want you to focus on. And these 4 different celebrations are going to be individuals, so individual performance, team-based type of performance, so teams that are put together that succeed, organizational celebrations, things that happen in the organization that need to have a celebration, and then finally at a corporate level. Those are the 4 different types of celebrations that are impactful for people that I think when you start looking at, I'll call it high-tech organizations, this is where you get your best bang for your buck. So focus on these 4, do these 4 correctly, and you're going to see tremendous impact for it. Now, companies that celebrate, everybody celebrates to some degree. Other companies that are out there do a great job of it and are the front runners. Companies like Starbucks, Ben & Jerry's, they have social and corporate responsibility statements that focus specifically on people's celebrations. The Man on the Moon, 11/5/2016. What was that a celebration of? And did we celebrate it? Look at the image for McDonald's. The W that's there is the M from McDonald's turned upside down to celebrate women. Take a peek at all the companies around you that are doing these type of celebrations. Some of them do a stellar job of it. Starbucks is a company that does great people celebrations. Talk to other organizations, talk to other companies, find out what they do, and then you can create your own customized people celebration type of environment. Now that covers, in essence, the majority of what I wanted to tell you for people celebrations. In my personal career, I've seen 2 different perspectives of it. So I've seen one where we did it wrong. I can tell you that I've seen us start with an Employee of the Year that then went to a competition of the Employee of the Year, Engineer of the Year, which led to us having to have a Configuration Management Manager of the Year. You have to be careful of what you put together and what you celebrate. The more team-based type of situations you can have, the easier it's going to be to make sure that things are more balanced. But that's tricky also. So there's a delicate balance in how we do that, and that is why you're not going to find a whole lot of books or a whole lot of publications out there on how do we do celebrations. So my questions for you this week, and some of these, as always, are easy to answer yes, and some of them are easy to answer no, and some of them are things that you look at and you go, maybe, because it's situational or it depends, but these are areas that I want you to think about. So question 1, if we've done something that seems, okay, let me rephrase that, okay? If we haven't done anything correct or right, should we be celebrating? Okay? The next one, can we use our celebrations to increase our company profile? In other words, can we use this from a marketing perspective or from a letting other people know to try to get publicity perspective? Question 3, is celebrating a waste of time? Question 4, should we pit one team against another and then have a celebration for the team that succeeded? Question 5, do employees like to celebrate or do they prefer to work? And finally, question 6, should we celebrate being in second place? Now, these are all great questions to ponder. I want you to think about them. Once again, I think it's critical as a leader or a manager in a high technology firm or organization that you stay connected to the people and the relationships you build. And one of the great ways to do that is with people celebrations. I've seen us have, I'll call it dunk tanks, where we bring all the employees out and some of the management team volunteered to be in the dunk tank, and we used it to raise funds for the community. We had lines of people that wanted to take a vice president and dunk him, and they were willing to pay $1 a piece. It was a people celebration. It was positive, and the event was fun. We rotated people in and out, but we did have windows where we had certain managers, certain directors who said they'd be willing to volunteer, things like that. Anything that can bring the community together with the people and the teams working at your company and a celebration of some sort is going to be very positive for you. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.